Hello, my name is Jim Crash Irons, local 80 grip here in Hollywood, California, and creator, co-producer, and host of That's a Wrap. I've worked on such movies as From Dusk Till Dawn, Jackie Brown, Spawn, Peppermint, and such TV shows as 6 Feet Under, Malcolm in the Middle, Weeds, and Big Little Lies, just to name a few. The vast majority of interviews at the end of Blu-ray discs and DVDs are interviews with the actors, the directors, the producers, the above-the-line people, as we call them in the business, the people with money, with fame. That's a Wrap is about the below-the-line people, the rank-and-file folks, the crew members who are on the set day in and day out, 5 to 6 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day, dressing actors, building sets, lighting and shooting those sets, helping to create the dreams that Hollywood is built on. These are the magicians upon whom the magic makers rely upon. These are the folks who make the movies and TV shows that the public loves to spend buku dollars on at the movie theater or stretch out on the couch and binge on. My crew and I believe that you want to know about these folks, these talented, hardworking, intelligent folks, the professionals who get the job done because, well, it needs to get done. My sisters and brothers in the film and TV industry get to have their stories told, finally, and we'll tell those stories here on That's a Wrap. All right. Hi, welcome back. And we are in with my friend and guest, Steve Love, former assistant director. He's retired now, but he's been, how long have you been in the business? How long were you in the business?
Since 81.
Since 81. Oh, really?
So 40 years.
Oh, my. Oh, my. What was your first job, assistant director? Or?
No, I started at the bottom, just like everybody else.
What was your first job?
What was my first job? My first real job was, I was a PA in New York City.
Okay.
On some low-budget Italian movies. And they would shoot them in Italy, and then they would come and do exteriors for a week, for like a couple of them at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And we would run around town in vans and things, mostly with permits, but sometimes not.
Right.
And shoot the stuff that makes it look like it was all done in New York. And I mean, we would shoot, like, they would want to go to like the Bronx in the 80s. I don't know how it is now, but it wasn't very good. And you know how cities have police details when you go on location shoots that help. The cops said, "Good luck, guys, we're not coming."
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. it was that bad.
I hear New York I've never shot there, never worked there in film, but I hear it's not easy.
Well, it never was, but
Right.
when I started, sadly to say so long ago, you could do it. You could shoot on weekdays. You could cordon off people and all that. At a certain point, I think the business got so challenging, and then they started doing chases and streets, and then people started getting hurt.
Right.
And now you have to shoot on weekends for a lot of stuff in the city, exterior, because they can't shut it down during the weekdays.
Right.
So we got away with a lot more back then.
How long has it been since you shot anything in New York?
97 was, no.
No.
I'm wrong. I did a little bit on one of the last Spider-Mans.
Okay.
The second Andrew Garfield one. So I shot there. I think we set a personal record for me. I think we had 150 PAs.
Oh my.
Locking down Madison Avenue for 4 blocks.
Wow. That's a lot of PAs.
It's a lot of PAs.
Yeah. That's hilarious. We met on Malcolm in the Middle.
We did.
You're an AD on that. You were our first AD. First, in the sense of you were the number one, and there was number 2 AD.
Well, yes, I was the favorite of the crew. I don't think it was any surprise. You know, the other guys were okay.
Yeah, they were all right. They were all right. Did you? Because I worked on that show, but I came in the second season. Were you there from the first season to the very end?
I was there for the first season, but they did like, I don't know, 8 episodes or something like that.
Right.
And then they ended up coming back for another 4, but I missed those 4.
Mm.
And then I came back after that for the rest of the series.
Did you go to film school for this? Did you want to be in? Yes, you did. Where did you go?
Yes, I went to NYU.
Okay.
I asked for a Super 8 camera when I was 13, and I then decided I was going to be the next Spielberg. I fell just a little short, but I did direct on Malcolm in the Middle for 3 years.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So I got for a kid from nowhere, got somewhere, you know. But yeah, that was always the goal.
So you always wanted to be in, more or less, wanted to be in, since you were 13, you wanted to be
absolutely.
in the film business.
In high school, I was unofficially voted most likely to move to LA.
Seriously?
Yeah, unofficially.
Unofficially.
Yeah. Everybody knew I was going to get there. And so back in those days, New York was not exactly a filming mecca. There were few people there, but basically everything that was shot in Hollywood that took place in New York, they'd come to New York for a week, and we'd go to the exterior of the Plaza Hotel, we'd go to Battery Park and look at Statue of Liberty. You know, it was all the same stuff.
Right.
So that gets old after a few years when you realize if you really want to be, you know, in the business, you got to go to LA. So all of us film school kids eventually came out here.
Packed up and came out here.
Even the guys
Go west.
Voted most likely to never leave New York, they moved.
They finally, yeah. I mean, you figure you have to. This is kind of the Detroit of, you know, you want to make movies or cars, you go to Detroit. You want to, you know, retire, you go to Florida. You want to make movies.
And there's two kinds of people, two kinds of New Yorkers. The type that will never leave, or the type who can be comfortable somewhere else. And I'll tell you, so when I landed here in '84, one of my first jobs was a music video. And we all get there in the morning, and the key grip shows up in flip-flops. And I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna do fine here. It's just like, you would never imagine that, you know, back east.
Nice and laid back.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Are you part of a union?
Yes.
Or were you, rather, excuse me?
I
guild?
am and always will be
still
a
be.
card-carrying member of the DGA, the Directors Guild of America.
When did you get into that?
I got into the guild in '91.
So not too long after you came out here.
6, 7 years.
Yeah.
It was a haul.
Yeah.
And apparently it's even harder now.
How long did it take you? I mean, do you have to take tests? You have to put in a certain amount of hours?
No, I wasn't. Yes, I wasn't. I wasn't the right type to pass the test to get into the trainee program.
Too tall?
They didn't want. Yes, I don't know what it was, but it was something. It was probably for the better. I had an interesting start in that, you know, I moved up after a few years to second AD, and I really only second AD'd for like a year, less than 2 years for sure.
Okay.
And then I got to first non-union. So when all my buddies got in, they got into the union earlier with their PA days, and they started making a lot of money, but they had to work their way up to first AD or D or whatever. I ended up getting to first a lot sooner, but non-union.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I liked being the big cheese. So I just stayed non-union, and I got my days to get into the guild as a first AD, which still took years and years and years. But when I joined the guild, I was a first.
Right.
I've never second AD'd or anything else in the guild.
What the hell do you do? What is your job as a first AD?
I'm really an actor, and I play a part, and I pretend that I know what's going on. And sometimes I fool them, and sometimes I don't. But if you ask me what my job is to help the director get his vision in the time allotted by the producer and the budget.
Right.
So
that means you got to be kind of hard-nosed sometimes. You have to guys, we got to go, we got to do this. This is the line.
yeah,
Let's go.
we set the schedule, and we make sure we're basically the telephone operator, if you will, who is the central command and makes sure that all the other parties involved know what's going on and are actively participating it to get it done.
Right.
So some people say traffic cop. Some people say creative visionary. I'll let you, the audience, decide. But,
big jerk that yells at us all the time.
Well, here's an interesting sidebar. But when I grew up back east, assistant directors were they were almost taught to be assholes.
Right.
There was a belief, at least, I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but there was a belief that you had to be an asshole to get the people to fall in line.
Right.
And I started out being that person when I was younger, and and I was miserable, and everybody else was miserable. And I kind of had an epiphany that, if you're nice and treat people with respect and actually tell them what's going on, they're likely to do a better job and work harder.
Right.
So that was my approach.
Right.
At the end of the day.
As long as I have known you, as long as I've worked with you, you've always been that person. You've always been very, and it's, whoa, something's falling off. Hold on, sorry.
Wardrobe.
Have a drink. Me too, sorry.
Love what you've done with your nails.
Thanks, pal. I used to do that on Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, I know.
When you were, obviously, because you have directed episodes of Malcolm, and I'm sure you've directed other things, you feel like you bring talent to the table when you come to work in the morning. You feel like, okay, I'm a filmmaker. I'm going to help do this thing. I'm going to help this project move forward. I'm going to bring some.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. That's the intent.
Yeah.
And I prep really hard to do that.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people, especially people who've been doing it a long time, that can show up and wing it. But I was not one who believed in that. I'll tell you a very funny little story.
Please.
So I was a second AD on the first Coen Brothers movie, Blood Simple. It was actually my first second AD job, and I lied to get it.
I was going to say, you say you never worked as a second AD.
I said I did, but very briefly.
Oh, okay.
And we did a tech scout like a week or two before we shot the movie, and they had storyboarded the entire film. I mean, everything.
Wow.
Whether it was stunts or just dialogue, the entire movie was storyboarded.
Very Alfred Hitchcock.
And that was my first foray into being that close to the top echelon. And I thought that's how everybody did it. I mean, I thought, oh my God, I've got a lot of homework to do. And then I got to Hollywood, and then I saw that while there are some people who do it, no one's ever done it as good as those guys did it.
Right.
And a lot of people, they don't believe in it. They believe in rehearsing it, seeing what it looks like, and then making it up from there. So I was trained by the best.
Right. Well, that's good. You can tell. In your years of working in the business, have you ever been overtaken by talent? An actor comes in, or a producer, or a director, and you go, "Oh my God, that's so and so." Da da da. Have you ever been like that?
You mean enthralled?
Yeah.
Being in their presence?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say like, oh my God, or
Right.
that. But yeah, it is pretty cool sometimes to be like, oh, I guess I have made it. Like, you know.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, I've done, in the latter part of my career, I did a lot of second units and reshoots and bits and pieces. Because when you're old, you know, the last thing you want to hear is, hey, I got a 6-month job for you. No, how about a 6-day job? So, but that's me, I'm different. But so I ended up doing bits and pieces, but all of a sudden you're like with, you know, whoever, and you go, oh wow, that's yeah. And then you forget years later, you know, hey, did you ever work with it? No. Oh, wait a second, yes I did. But they will not remember me. Yeah. I can guarantee you they will not remember me.
They normally don't.
Yeah, no, they don't. You can edit around that.
We can cut that out?
Yeah.
You do a lot of what we call first, in the film business, we call first unit shooting. There's first unit, there's second unit, there's stunt units sometimes. First unit usually is the main principled actors, the main actor, the main director, the cameras, whatnot. What exactly does a second unit do normally?
Normally a second unit does all the action sequences.
Okay.
Sometimes they do beauty shots, sometimes they do visual effect shots.
What exactly is a beauty shot?
You know, like
establishing
shots. You know, the best story I have, which doesn't involve me at all, but the DP who won the Academy Award for Out of Africa, in his acceptance speech thanked his second unit DP.
Oh wow!
Because he's the one who did all the beauty shots of Africa.
Right.
And
It's the reason
he
to
gave him a
remember.
lot of credit. Yeah,
That's
nothing
true.
against Redford and Street.
No, that's terrific because it's very nice to it's nice to acknowledge
Yeah.
the other crew members. Are you one of these people? Because we've both known people who as soon as we're in, just go to work. Don't ask you how your weekend was. Don't ask you how your day was. Just let's do this and do that. Blah blah. Blah. Are you one of these people that comes in and likes to say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? You know,
Absolutely.
we got stuff to do, but I just want to make sure you're okay." You go. You talk to your crew.
You tell me, did I? Yes.
As far as I remember, yes.
I like to think of myself as a people person.
Right.
There's a lot of hair, makeup, and wardrobe people who will probably tell you that I'm an asshole. But there's a lot of grips and gaffers who love me.
Well, it's true.
No,
That's
I think it's, listen, you know, it's a very strange business that you can spend more of your life with people on a crew than you do with your own family.
Oh, gosh, yes.
When you're on a show.
Yes, yes.
And rightly or wrongly, we do consider each other family. I mean, we worked together many, many years.
Yes.
Don't get to hang out socially that much, but feel like I know you really well just because of all that time.
Right.
So that's why I treat everybody like family, because they kind of are.
Right. Well, we spend more time on set with the people on set than
Yeah.
we do with our own family, it seems
Yeah,
like sometimes.
yeah.
Do you, has the business ever been detrimental to you in that way? All that time you spent with your family not understanding or getting mad or?
So much. No. I
You missed my birthday, Dad. My
But you
30th.
sing it every day. So I got very lucky.
Yes.
I was a feature guy, did the big movies, and did some not so big movies. I have a whole shelf at the video store, straight to. Nowadays, though, straight to streaming, not such a bad thing.
Yeah, not such a
But
bad
anyway. So I got this call to do a TV series for the first time, Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
And I said, well, why not? What have I got to lose? And I went in and I met some of the mucky mucks, and it seemed to go very well. And then I didn't get the job.
What?
Did not get the job.
Really?
And then I was like, oh well.
Mm-hmm.
Then about a month later, I got a call and I got the job. The guy they really wanted bailed. So I was in. I mean, that's just the truth, you know?
They're very fortunate for them.
Very
They were
fortunate.
able to
That
get
is
you.
right. And
Yeah.
I happen to live within the mile radius of the studio, Radford, where we
Right.
shot. I mean, I could literally go home for lunch, and did. And my walkie-talkie could actually work sometimes from home. So the point of the whole story, though, is that whereas a lot of people who were in features would get other jobs and go across the world and travel and all that fun stuff, which I got to do a bunch of.
Right.
I got to stay home to a place that was literally 5 minutes from my house. Happens to be a year after our son was born.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So
that's nice. That's
I
nice. Yeah.
I was home. I didn't miss all those moments. I didn't have those affairs. I didn't misbehave, and the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. But I was also very lucky in that I got on a show that was extremely well run.
Which was
Malcolm in the
Malcolm in
Middle.
the Middle.
Well, that should have been obvious to you, but anyway,
I'm just asking.
we had people at the top who knew what they were doing, and they did
was a
their
good show.
homework.
Yes.
And you know, the funny thing is, of course, you do a show with kids, and everybody says, "Well, you're going to be home really early because kids can only work so many hours."
Right.
Somehow you manage to just split it up so each kid does their own segment, and you end up with full days.
Right.
And we certainly had some long days in the first few years, but by the last couple of years of the series, we were
You get it all dialed in.
doing very good hours. And I've never been on a better run TV series since then.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear. I also had a very good time. It was a great show. And it
Yeah,
really
and we
was.
laughed all day.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
and then there's that. You know, we literally laughed all day.
Well, because that show, a lot of times you work on film or a show, film or TV, where people say, "Oh yeah, we're like a family."
Yeah.
That one really was.
Yes, yeah, we really were.
We
Yeah.
really did. We really did have that. Have you had that experience on any other shows before or since?
Well, only in the sense that a bunch of the shows I had the same people with me,
Right.
whether it was my staff or guys like you who all of a sudden show up, hey, here I am, I didn't know you were going to be here.
Yeah.
So that was all brought back. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have as long a run on a show after that.
Yeah.
It's hard to get those hits.
Yeah, that went for 8 seasons?
6 or 7.
7, something like that.
Something like that. Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Right.
But then I got back into features and a lot of second units and things like that. And luckily, they were in LA.
Right.
Unfortunately, they were at Sony, which is completely the opposite of where I saw.
It's a long drive.
Payback. I had to make up for all those good years.
Sometimes you have to, yeah.
And then I got sent to Atlanta once, and a year and a half later, I got like 3 jobs back to back in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
Nothing against Atlanta, but if you're going to travel, you want to go to new and different places.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the same place, you might as well move there.
What did you work on in Atlanta?
A bunch of Marvel pictures.
Okay.
I did some second units and stuff like that. I did the macro unit on Ant-Man.
Of course, Mac.
I can't tell you what it is. But I did it.
If I give you $10, tell us what it is. All the Marvel nuts out there.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, so that's funny. Going back to the hours and whatnot, long hours. Have you ever done anything stupid at work because you were tired? Talking to somebody, turn around and run into a wall, or call an actress by somebody else's name, or.
I don't think so on that level. I mean, my longest day I think was like 22 hours. That was pretty brutal.
That's a long day.
It's a long day for everybody at that
Right.
point. But don't know that I've done anything that stupid. But you just know that the level of work and concentration goes down so much. It's
Right.
It's hard to get. I mean, I have seen DPs fall asleep behind the eyepiece once.
Oh yeah.
And
I've seen that too.
there was one time. I don't even think I told my wife this. That
Honey, don't look.
it was such a long day, driving home that I got stopped by the cops. And they were like, you were kind of, in and out of the lane a little bit. And I
Right.
said, and I actually did not have a rap beer, thank God. I was just exhausted. I said, I'm just exhausted, guys.
Right.
And they said, okay, well, be careful.
Right. There you go. Well, that's good. That's a nice luck out.
That was a nice luck out, yes.
So obviously you feel part of the process when you're making music, being a director. You feel that you bring enough to the table to say, like, this is going to be a good project, guys. We're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's in my mind. Yeah, I mean, everything is important, but if you don't have a good script or you don't have a good episode, there's only so much you're going to be able to do.
Right.
So that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
If the material's there, then it's up to you to bring it out and make it better, or make sure that whatever's on the page actually visually comes out.
You'll see it on the screen.
Yeah, and in television, you've got actors who've been doing it for years. You've got writers and producers who've been doing it for years. They know everything.
Right.
I don't want to say it's autopilot, but
It's second
it's
nature.
all there. Yeah, you just have to maybe amp it up a little bit.
Right.
It is more of a producer's writer's medium, I think.
Right. TV or film or
TV.
both? TV.
Yeah.
Are you still a fan of movies and TV? Having worked as extensively as you have, are you still able to go in with fresh eyes, with young, eager eyes, and say, "Oh, I love this. This is great." It doesn't
Yes.
it doesn't mess you up that you know the behind the scenes.
Yes, it
Stuff.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't mess me up at all. I still enjoy all the product.
Right.
And I watch a lot of it, actually. I also, because I came along just late enough to appreciate all the history that came before me.
Right.
I love a lot of old movies. A big fan of comedy, obviously, but film noir. love film noir. And so I still enjoy watching the great ones.
Right. Well, it's terrific.
Yeah.
It's nice that you don't lose that shine that
Right.
you know.
I
'Cause
think
a lot
that
of people do.
a lot of people do. I can honestly tell you, I know this is not going to sound good, but you know, we cover scenes by covering different angles of all the actors. So, you know, it can take a couple hours to a whole day to go through a scene.
Right.
And basically, you're repeating the same dialogue over and over and over.
Oh my,
and
yes.
that does get tedious, and it does get old. It just does. I mean, and that's the hard part. That got harder for me on set as the years went on, to just go through it again and again and again. It's the part of the process. It works, but I love it when I can watch something put together and just see the best of it.
Right.
But you do think, especially on some of these comedies that they do today, they just roll and roll and roll. For that one joke, they probably had 20 different ones, and they had to figure out which one was their favorite.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And I think in television, what happens is you go around the room so many times, the producers and writers, they get tired of the jokes, and then they rewrite them.
Right.
And so that's why you keep going and going and going.
Right. It does get to be monotonous after a while. It's like, okay, can we just
Please move on.
please go to some-
Who do you have to sleep with to get out of this scene? Usually it was you, by the way.
When you were young, and your heart was an open book, was there any...
Live and let live.
Yeah.
I think that's what they used to say.
I think so.
Favorite Bond movie, by the way?
Was there my favorite Bond theme?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I dig it. It's terrific. Speaking of all that, was there a movie when you were younger, or a TV show or whatever, that you saw? It's like, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to get in the business. Like I like that I like that movie.
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, I was a huge Bond fan. Speaking of, so, the goal was to work on James Bond.
Right.
Didn't get there, unfortunately, but like my PA credits are my best credits.
Yeah.
Other than some of the special ones that everybody knows, so I don't have to mention them. That's to cover my ass. But I was a PA on Tootsie and Splash.
Oh, shut up! Really?
And yeah, those are still my best credits. Yeah. And I'll give you just a small taste.
Yeah.
I was on Tootsie, and I go in one day, and the second AD says, "Steve, we're doing a dance scene in the Copacabana. We got 100 extras. Pair up the men and women." Okay, so I go in the room, and I start putting people together, and, they call for the thing. Everything seems to go fine. A year or so later, I'm on set somewhere, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's a couple, and the guy says to me, "We just want to thank you." I said, "Oh?" He said, "Yeah, you paired us up to dance together on Tootsie. We got married, and we're very happy."
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Steve Love bringing love to the set. Oh,
that's probably the best story, again, from the first year of my career. Never topped it.
Well, that's terrific. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a keeper.
Yeah. I guess one more thing. You're not doing the job anymore. You're retired. Congratulations. If you hadn't been an AD, a director, what would you have liked to have done?
I don't think there's anything else I'm qualified to do. And I don't even know if I'm qualified to do this. But sometimes they just run out of people, and eventually they get to call your name.
Right.
But I've thought about that, actually.
Yeah.
And nothing really comes to mind. I mean, I didn't want to go to school any longer than I had to.
Right.
My gift was going to film school, which is like, going to camp for 4 years. You get to make movies.
Right.
The best thing that gave me was an appreciation for the history of the business.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you do in film school has nothing to do with what you do in the real world.
Once you get the school, it seems like school doesn't prepare you for once you get on set, everything, flies out the window, everything you learned. And all of a sudden you have to go on instinct and or watch other people who are doing your job. You watch them and listen to them.
Yes, but
that's the best school, I think, sometimes.
It's the only school, really.
Right.
I mean, great
Yeah.
for the kids who come out and can do it all or get
Oh,
that
yeah.
lucky break.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of them. But I don't think I wouldn't have changed anything. This is the career I was meant to have, for better or worse.
Right.
If I could do one thing differently, I would have tried to work harder with people I admired.
Right. Right.
I kind of let the chips fall where they may. They fell very nicely for me, so I can't complain. But I would have made a greater effort maybe to dig my way into some places just to learn from some of those people that I really admired so much.
Right. Well, I think you learned quite a bit and applied it very well. The years I've worked with you, it was terrific. He's paying me. No, seriously, you were just wonderful. It was always a joy, especially when we were working on Malcolm in the Middle. It was always a joy to come to work every day and work with people like you, people that were in charge, who knew what the hell they were doing, who liked what they were doing, and we all got along together.
We had a good time.
We had.
When you're working 14 hours a day, if
You
you're not
wanna be
having
with people.
if you're not having a good time, get out.
Yeah, there's the
You
door.
know,
Have a good time.
Life's too short.
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
I love you.
Thank you for staying in touch.
No problem. Our guest has been Steve Love, former director, assistant director, now retired and having a good time and hanging out with one of the women I love. Please give her my love. I love
we'll
her.
get
She's
together
great.
soon.
I hope so. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hi, Jim Crash Irons here. Did you like what you saw? Then smash that like button and hit subscribe and tell your friends, because there's going to be a lot more coming. All right? A lot more.